Traditional financial players have been hesitant about getting into crypto, although many do see the benefits of blockchain. 16 years ago, Peter Wuffli left UBS after serving as its group CEO. He then joined and later chaired the board at Partners Group. Now Peter sits on crypto bank Signum's board, and he's going to speak to me today about how traditional finance is approaching the crypto industry. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Jade. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. Peter, can you tell me, how did you get into crypto initially? And when did you make your first investment?
Well, throughout my career, spanning now over 40 years actually, in the banking center Switzerland, I've always seen myself somehow at the forefront of innovation. At the beginning, it was about professionalizing and globalizing Swiss banking. Then it was about mainstreaming private markets investment management. And I guess this I see in a way as my third era now, helping Signum to find its way in digital asset banking. So I was attracted to Signum because I knew one of the founders, Matthias Simbach, from another occasion. And I was particularly intrigued by the way Signum was setting itself up, betting on a fully regulated environment with a full banking license, but also with a setup out of Switzerland and Singapore with a clear global scope. And that was what interested me. So the first exposure to Signum was indeed shares of Signum. And then I bought obviously some of the typical protocols in addition.
Now, the crypto industry is still feeling the shockwaves after the collapse of FTX, the digital exchange. Can you tell me, where does this leave the industry and its players right now?
Well, to be honest, it's kind of interesting that FTX reminds me more of the traditional crisis in finance. I mean, it reminds me of what happened in 1998 with long-term capital management. It reminds me what happened in 2001 with Enron and WorldCom. It reminds me what happened in 2008 with Lehman. So I think this particular explosion had not a lot to do with digital asset. It was just simply hype combined with fraud, which is what was at the origin of the other crises as well. The industry at all obviously has seen its ups and downs. Crypto winter is nothing particularly new. I think what's being overlooked is the tremendous progress that has been made in 22. I think on one hand on the technological front, for example, the merge of the Ethereum protocol was a tremendous achievement, worked flawlessly, addressed one of the big environmental concerns, going from proof of work to proof of stake. Also, we've seen a massive wave of institutionalization, with banks becoming interested in the sector, with treasuries of corporates, with foundations getting much more involved into digital asset banking. So besides obviously the obvious kind of cyclical movement of the crypto winter, we have seen massive progress underlying.
Now, you mentioned institutions getting involved, becoming interested in the crypto industry. How long will it take them to actually come up with their own crypto offering?
Well, I'd say traditional banks have now made the way from being either skeptical or outright hostile a few years ago to being what I would call cautiously curious. We see a lot of interest. Signum is partnering with now 17 banks in Switzerland, but also institutions abroad. We have a long pipeline of banks we have talks with who all want to learn about it. They obviously have defensive reasons. They have clients who actually expect service in the digital asset space and are not seeing themselves in a position to serve them. Some also look at it proactively. They want to use these capabilities to actually attract clients that they cannot attract now. It's still early days, but we see a lot of interest. We see a lot of initial initiatives. We see a lot of learning, exploring in a territory that offers huge potential from a technology point of view, but also from a client service point of view.
The industry is placing a huge focus on the technology working without intermediaries or an overarching authority. From a governance perspective, what role does trust play? And can we place trust in the code alone?
That's obviously a hotly debated topic in the whole industry. And there are various points of views on that. I mean, we are beyond technology. We do have a mindset of decentralization, of individual empowerment, of democratization, of borderlessness, and all that speaks towards trusting algorithms more than people. At the same time, Signum has as a mission to be the pathway and the bridge builder between the kind of old world and the new world in finance. And we put a lot of emphasis on trust through traditional mechanisms, meaning proper governance, transparency, proper risk management and risk control processes and methods. And we feel that particularly in today's environment, that approach has suited us very well. In the fourth quarter last year, we essentially had a net money inflow of $845 million US dollars. And that obviously speaks a lot to the approach as a regulated Swiss bank with proper governance, with transparency, and with appropriate processes. And particularly institutions with a fiduciary role vis-à-vis their stakeholders, they will find it very hard to basically just argue their behaviors vis-à-vis their stakeholders by a belief in an algorithm only. I think they will have to have some judgment calls which essentially go into trusting people in addition to algorithms.
Now, moving on to the broader financial industry, looking at Switzerland's financial centre, can you tell me, are there areas where it can improve, and what are the future drivers?
Well, I'm very much an optimist for the financial centre, and I think throughout the past several decades, actually, we have seen the financial centre of Switzerland reinventing itself, becoming more professional, becoming more sophisticated, all around its global expertise of serving wealthy individuals and families worldwide. And I think on this count, there wasn't a single year where the Swiss financial centre has seen net outflows of money, which tells us a lot about the world, but it also tells us something about the qualities of Switzerland as a Swiss banking and financial centre. We do have a unique appetite to bash our own financial centres, to be honest. So that's why I find it important to highlight all the things that we are strong at and where we have improved. And I must say, particularly the digital asset economy is a proof in point, because here our industry, together with politics, with our government, our parliament, but also our regulators, have been at the forefront and still are in the forefront of enabling this important innovation. And Switzerland as a centre has gained a lot of profile through the recent months of turmoil.
Peter, it was a pleasure speaking to you today.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to you for watching finews.